do have more Rico Hines stuff to talk about.
Dude, that was so exciting because we talked about it the first time the Pistons were at Rico Hines, and I think you had mentioned like hopefully we get because we didn't see any Marcus Sasser highlights, we didn't see any Killian, we didn't see anything about James Wiseman. So you were like, man, I hope we get like a part 2. And we finally got a part 2. And dude, Cade was cooking again. I'm going to turn it over to you, but just real quick, there's one thing I want to say about him. Dude, him, Ivy, and Asar are just going to be such a nasty 3-headed monster at the 1, 2, and 3 spots. Just like the playmaking, the athleticism, the overall IQ and skills and abilities between those 3. It's going to be a nightmare game in and game out for guys this year and just going forward. I loved what I saw from all 3 of those guys, especially Cade getting some post-ups in, playing a little off the ball. Asar was doing a little bit of playmaking, which I've said on this podcast before for that next step for Cade Cunningham in this evolution as a player is going to have to play off the ball. And with a guy like Asar, you're going to see him do it a lot this year. But I'm going to turn it over to you. What are some notes that you took on this game, on the Rico Hines?
So I have 4 main notes from the second video they put up, because they put out 2, which I was kind of confused at first. Put out a 30-minute. So I just watched the 18-minute because a lot of people said that it was the same thing. So I wanted to talk about Jaden Ivey a little bit and how aggressive he was against the Lakers in that run. First 3 points, all Jaden Ivey. Cade was looking for Jaden Ivey in transition. Asar was looking for Jaden Ivey in transition. And he just looked really aggressive. And it seemed like every time I looked, he was making a shot. I don't think he missed a shot in the whole run that, Balls Life posted.
I don't think he did either. I know he got hard fouled one time where Cade still drained the 3, but I think you're right. I don't think he missed the shot. He did have a pull up 3 though too, and his jump shot looked just absolutely clean. Like it was a thing of beauty. I don't know if he's been reworking it or it's just a thing of confidence, but he looked real good offensively. I didn't really notice him too much defensively though, but Asar I did. I don't know if you took any notes on that.
I did. I think a lot of people joke on Twitter that the reason why Ivy is, shooting the way he is and playing defense the way he is because of the haircut. But I'm not into that type of thing. Like people's like, man, his aura. Like I'm not one of those guys on Twitter saying, man, he's got such a strong aura. Like I saw it's completely off topic, like a top aura list. I'm like, dude, what are we doing?
That's awesome. And he was on it. He was number 1.
No Pistons were on it at all. It was just like a NBA Twitter like whack list. But you had mentioned Asar. I did take some notes on Asar also. His passing again, like point Asar, like not only were his passes great, but the reads he was making. Like There were some shots that Cade didn't hit, but they were excellent reads. There's a corner 3 that he hit Cade right in the shooting pocket. It was an absolutely perfect pass. His passing, I think we saw it on display in the Summer League, and we saw it again in these open runs. And defensively, I love that he tried to challenge Russell Westbrook. In my opinion, Westbrook was the best player in these runs. Like he was getting anything he wanted. And Asar took the challenge of trying to guard Westbrook. And I absolutely love that for him.
What were you most impressed with, his defense or his playmaking ability? I liked his defense just because he didn't back down at all from anybody. Like he wanted to take the challenge. There was one moment where he was defending Russ and a screen came through, and I think Isaiah wanted to switch with him, but he was just like, no, waved him off. He's like, no, I want this. I want this matchup. And as much as I love the offensive abilities, because the playmaking was sweet. Like it was really cool. Like I said, just to see Cade play off the ball and see that kind of, game from him, which is something I've talked about a ton, but just that defense from him and the confidence still he has defensively. And he did fall for one pump fake though, where Russ got him off the ground. But what were you more impressed with, the defense or the playmaking?
I would say the playmaking, and it was really encouraging to see him and Ivy. There's a play where Ivy was running really hard in transition and Asar just kind of dumped it off to him for a really easy basket. There was one basket where all of them touched the ball, but they waved off the basket. I don't know why, but Asar dunked it. I was more impressed with just his offensive game because I know the defense is always going to be there, but I think the next step in his development is going to be that offensive game. And I'm really excited to see where it goes because, like, I think the passing is legit. I think it could be special if he does develop it correctly. And we were talking last week, like, what would be more beneficial, a Bojan or an Asar in the starting lineup? And I said Asar just because of the transition and the passing, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I still think Asar could create more opportunities just, running and in transition for this team long term.
But don't you think, though, once they get into the regular season of the NBA, teams will start to clamp down a little defensively, and when they start getting footage on him, start scouting against him, they'll be able to take things away from his game. I mean, there's still going to be a next step for him to take, but Rico Hines is not the NBA, even though it's full of NBA players.
I think, maybe for the first month, they're not really going to know how to guard him. And like you said, they'll have more footage of him. Not as much, but they'll have some games on him to see like where he likes to go, where he doesn't like to go, where his sweet spots are. But I think with the SAR, he just makes winning plays
Yeah.
for a rookie, and you don't really see that. Like, he doesn't really make a whole lot of mistakes. Like, I think there was maybe one mistake he had in the entire summer league, and I didn't really see too many mental mistakes during the Rico Hines runs either.
Yeah, he definitely has a. I don't want to compare it to like a manager in like at the quarterback position, but it's kind of like that where he's going to make the smart play. He's not going to try to gamble too much with the playmaking. He's going to try to make the right reads and hit the right guy at the right time. So, I mean, I love his game, man. Even though I was really hard on him before they drafted him and I was telling the Pistons to stay away. Thank God they would never listen to me unless, we're talking about Team USA. But it's yeah, I don't know. What are some other notes you took down from this Rico Hines footage?
We talked about it. I can't remember when the first run was, maybe a week or two ago. Like Cade and Duren, like the chemistry that they have, it was on full display again. Constantly in the pick and roll. Cade was looking for Duren. Duren had some lob dunks that I absolutely loved. I just kind of love the chemistry that they're building. And I had told you when they were doing, the select stuff, like they're going to come in to the season already having built chemistry, and they did it again in the Rico Hines footage. And like, they really didn't get to play last year at all. If you think about it, like Cade played 12 games. Duren was on the bench for the first 10 games of the season. So they really didn't get to see the floor too much together. And the fact that they're building chemistry that fast just encourages me that the pick and roll with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren is going to be absolutely lethal.
Were you impressed at all with Isaiah Stewart? There's two things that I'm impressed with, but one thing I was just kind of blown away by. It was his step back jump shot. I don't know if you remember seeing that that was kind of cool. Like he put it on the ground a little bit. I mean, I don't think you're going to see that a lot from him. We did see it in his first 3 years where he would catch it, pump fake, someone would close out on him, and he would put the ball on the ground. That was always encouraging, but it was always attacking the basket. And this time, it was putting the ball on the ground and taking a step back and then draining a jumper. It was still inside the arc, but it's still taking another step. Like, it's just a confidence boost in his offensive game to know that is in his bag, hopefully deep, but, I'm glad it's still there. But was there anything about Isaiah Stewart you were impressed with?
So that particular play, I saw it and I was like, okay, that's nice. And, me scrolling on Twitter, so many people on Twitter like, he's not taking that shot in the season. Better not take that shot this season. God, that was awful. What the hell was he thinking? I was like, you guys, it's open runs. Chill out. But I think Isaiah, was just Isaiah. He wanted to guard Russell Westbrook. He was guarding a lot of guards. He did have a couple goaltends, though, like offensive goaltending, where like when Asar was guarding Russell Westbrook, he kind of just grabbed it when it was still bouncing on the rim, and they were like complaining about it. But he had a couple solid runs when we were talking about it 2 weeks ago, where he was hitting 3-point shots. He just looked like a really active play out there, and I wasn't too surprised that he was bringing energy out there.
I thought he was kind of showing out for the Team USA, because you know how in like FIBA you can grab the ball as long as it's on the rim. There's no goaltending like that. So maybe he was just showing out. You guys need a little bit more rebounding. You need a little bit more defense. I'm available next summer if you need somebody. That's what I thought he was doing. Yeah, the defense was really encouraging because, again, I think it shows that versatility that he has. I mean, you didn't see him. I was hoping I would see some footage of him like on Russell Westbrook. We saw a little bit of it, but it was real brief. There wasn't really much to it, but I wanted to see that versatility more. And I mean, it's again still encouraging that he's comfortable enough when there's a screen being set to switch on a smaller player. And we know about the footwork and we know that he can stay in front of guys. So I was impressed with him. One guy I did not take a note on was Jalen Turner. I thought he was kind of quiet though. I mean, other than a few like getting a couple dump offs and slamming it home. There wasn't really much that he did in the Rico Hines, in my opinion, unless you took some other notes on Jalen Duren.
I did, and I was just really encouraged with the two-man game with him and Cade. I think that's going to be really crucial this year, especially with Monty Williams being the coach, because he does like to run those type of actions. And I know we were talking about Duren, but I thought of Monty right away because like we talked about like can the Pistons adjust to this 0.5 offense, and I saw that ball moving a lot.
Yeah,
Like I saw that ball moving a lot, and like some people told me that there are some coaches at Rico Hines that tell Rico, I want these players playing with each other. Like I want Cade, Ivy, Duren, and Stewart playing with each other, and obviously they want to build that chemistry, and the ball movement was there. Like it wasn't so much ISO, ISO, ISO. They looked to pass the ball and move the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I was impressed with that because that ball movement, it kind of looked like that. It sounded funny coming out of my mouth. That ball movement looked like those five had been playing together for like a year or two at least. You know, they knew where they kind of. It felt like they knew where, like how you were saying earlier, how Sasser was able to get in that passing pocket, that shooting pocket for Cade Cunningham. It felt like all of them knew where they all wanted the ball, their hot spots, where there were places on the floor like, hey, this is where I like to get it. And, everything. It looked good. That chemistry was legit, and it's only going to get better. But there was one more note that you had, I think we were talking about, right? One more player that wasn't playing with those five.
Yeah, so our first round draft pick, our second first round draft pick, Marcus Sasser. So this was really weird to me when I'm watching the end of the runs and I see Marcus Sasser on the court, but I was like, I'm trying to see who he's playing with. He's not playing with any Pistons. These are just random guys that they're not on a team like when the Pistons played the Lakers. Those were all Lakers guys, but Marcus Sasser was out there. He was getting by Jaden Ivey. He was giving Cade Cunningham a little bit of fits. I absolutely love that Sasser was just on a team with just random NBA players up there. And they were giving the Pistons team some problems. Like Sasser got by Ivy a couple times. He had that ball on a string. Like he crossed them up a little bit. Like I love that for Sasser. And I can just imagine how the practices are going to be this year with Sasser going at Ivy and going at Cade.
It was nice to see that explosive first step on a few plays where he was getting to the rim. Yeah, that was the last game before it went to like Pascal Siakam and Russ Westbrook. I think they played each other in the last game of that 18-minute video. I think that was the last. Yeah, but when I was watching that, I was thinking like, dude, Marcus Sasser is totally going to be the sixth man of this team at some point. Like that's just what it screamed to me. Like how you were talking about Monty Williams and some coaches talking to guys like, hey, we want to see these guys on the floor. Part of me thinks like maybe Monty Williams was like, put Marcus Sasser on his own team and just let him run the offense and just let him do his thing against his teammates. Because there's a specific role I want him to play, and I want to see if he can do it against 5 NBA players. That's what I was thinking. And I think he did an admirable job, man. I really am encouraged by Marcus Sasser. He is low-key one of my favorite players on this team. I love his game from what we saw in Summer League. And I think his role will eventually be sixth man on this Pistons squad.
I don't know if that was maybe the case, why he was just on a team with random NBA players. I just don't know. I'm not going to like give you guys false information if I don't know anything. But what I will say and what you said is, I want Sasser going against ones, when I mean ones, I mean, people that are in the starting lineup, and he was with a bunch of twos. I think his role to me is like an Alec Burks role. I think that's what he's capable of. Now, obviously, when you watch him play, he gives you like Terry Rozier vibes all day. Just the way he can handle the ball, get to his spots, hit those step back threes, and just look like the best player on the court. I was really encouraged with him playing with just random NBA players from other teams. They built chemistry like instantly. The fact that Cade was pointing at the end of the video, I don't know if you saw this, Cade was pointing at Ivy saying, "Hey, don't forget Sasser over there in the corner." Like Cade's just like, you know what? Like, I didn't forget about you. Like, and I believe they beat the Pistons in that last game too. Like Sasser's team beat the Pistons.
I think it was like a 7-6 finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the Terry Rozier. I get Terry Rozier, Jason Terry, Lou Williams vibes from him. Like any electric small guard with just like a quick first step. That's what I get from Marcus Sasser. I'm not saying he's going to be a multiple time 6-man of the year winner or anything like that. It's just you can see a real role for him coming off the bench and creating like a little bit of energy and getting something going when like the offense stalls or something, or if you need another guy to create his own shot, you can see that future with Marcus Sasser, and that's all I'm getting at. I'm very excited about his game, and I'm excited to see where he takes it with the Detroit Pistons.